General Campbell, it's good to see you again for this committee for the last time, it would appear. Thank you for your service, not just in Afghanistan, but your service for many years in uniform. You've certainly earned the right to drop the rucksack and ask someone else to pick it up now. I want to return to a topic that Senator Graham was addressing. You said, quote, "Our country is not at war with the Taliban," end quote. People have to make decisions for countries. Is that a decision that was made by the Commander-in-Chief that our country is no longer at war with the Taliban?
So that's a policy decision.
Okay. But when you were asked if the Taliban would attack the United States today, if they could, you answered, "I do." That's correct?
So they're attacking forces in Afghanistan, and again, the network in Afghanistan where you get Haqqani, Al-Qaeda, LET, it's all intermingled. And we know for sure that ISIL, we know for sure that AQ and some of its remnants have already attacked the U.S. and want to continue to have vision on doing that. So the Taliban support that in other ways, yes, sir.
Okay. In your opening statement, you indicated that newly authorized airstrikes against the Islamic State in Afghanistan have been effective in slowing their growth. Would you expect the use of U.S. air power against the Taliban to have similar effect on the Taliban's progress in the country if you used air power against the Taliban?
So again, I'm trying to build the Afghan capability to do that, but as I take a look at adjustments that need to be made, authorities is one of those for 2016, and as I said up front, I have provided my leadership some mitigating efforts that I think will improve the Afghan forces and their probability of success against the Taliban as we move forward. Yes, sir.
As you were suggesting to Senator Graham about responding to the Taliban if they're attacking coalition forces, David Petraeus wrote in the Washington Post approximately 3 weeks ago that air power currently is used only, 1, to attack validated al-Qaeda targets, 2, to counter specific individuals or groups who have attacked coalition forces previously, and 3, to respond directly to attacks on coalition forces. According to leaders on the ground, U.S. and NATO forces are not otherwise allowed to attack Taliban targets. Do you think the lack of U.S. air power being employed against the Taliban accounts for some of their gains in the country?
I think the Taliban know that we downsized. I think the Taliban understand that in the past they couldn't gather in larger formations. I think we've seen this year that they have taken advantage of the reduction of the number of coalition aircraft. Absolutely.
Thank you. I want to turn now to the attacks in Helmand Province on January 5th, in which Army Staff Sergeant Matthew McClintock died. There's been some reporting in the media that the Quick Reaction Force was not allowed to deploy rapidly and that an AC-130 gunship was in the air and was not allowed to engage during the firefight. I'm sure you're up to speed on this event. Would you care to share with the committee your thoughts on what happened that evening?
So that's under investigation right now, and as you know, when investigation is ongoing, we don't discuss it. What I would tell you is that we'll do everything to provide force protection. I've said that's number one, upmost in my mind, and we'll make sure whenever we employ our forces, and they were in a train, advise, and assist role with the Afghan Special Operating Forces, that we have all the necessary resources required to reduce the threat to them. I mean, whenever we send folks out, there is a CONOP process that goes forward to make sure that we have the right medevac, we have the right quick reaction force, on and on and on. So this investigation will find out what exactly happened on that, and I need to hold off on that until that investigation is brought forward to me.
Are the restrictions that you face, both on the resources available to you and the way you employ those resources, potentially at play in what happened in Marja that evening?
So again, I have no restrictions on providing force protection.
Well, you only have 9,800 troops there, right?
We're authorized 9,800, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. If you were to reduce from 9,800 to 5,500 or even lower than that, might we be more likely to see something like this happen once again in the future because the next commander, General Nicholson, is constrained in the resources he has and the way he can employ those resources?
So there is no restraint on force protection. So I think General Nicholson, before he would allow soldiers to go out and do a train, advise, assist mission with the Special Operating Forces, he and the commanders on the ground would make sure they had all the necessary requirements there to do that, as they did, I'm sure, in this case here. So
So but the way the
I don't see that
restraint,
number, I don't see the tie between that number and what
but
General
the way the restraint might play out then is a limitation on the kind of missions they can conduct if they don't have the resources to support the force protection and the CASEVAC for those missions. Is that fair to say?
What's fair to say is I would not let them go out on a mission unless we had the right CASEVAC, unless we had the right quick reaction force. Yes, sir.
Which necessarily means that some missions may not be able to be accomplished.
We work within the resources we have. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much again for your service. I know you've been a commanding general of the Screaming Eagles. It came to our attention at his confirmation hearing that General Nicholson had never served there. He'd only served in the 82nd. I hope that he can overcome this deficiency in his background, but I do understand he once served under 101st Headquarters in Afghanistan, so maybe if you leave a combat patch in your desk, he'll hit the ground running.
Sir, I'll do that. I also have 3 tours in the 82nd, sir, so I got a great affinity for the 82nd.
But you capped it off at the 101st Air Assault.
I did. Thanks, sir.